Here goes!
Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but when Cartoon Network first aired Ben 10, it felt like a generational shift in the world of cartoons. I can't exactly pinpoint what changed. Maybe it had something to do with the animation or the stories, but whatever it was, Ben 10 felt very new. And it turns out that it also created one of the most confusing endings in Cartoon Network history. See, we millennials grew up with cartoons that either got cancelled and broke our hearts, or were lucky enough to build towards one huge final battle before the final credits rolled, but Ben 10 never stuck to one clear grand finale. At first, we thought the television movie Secret of the Omnitrix would be the ending. Then Cartoon Network broadcast another farewell story titled Goodbye and Good Riddance. After that, Ben returned through Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, Omniverse, television movies, specials, and eventually an entirely separate reboot of the series. It's actually kind of ironic for a show about a boy who can transform into different aliens to have such a shape-shifting ending, but that's where I come in today. We're going to break down how the original Ben 10 really ended on TV, which conclusion belongs to the main continuity, and what happened across all the follow-up projects. It's going to be a good one, so let's get right into it.
Who are you?
I am Vilgax, and I have come for the Omnitrix.
The cartoon that turned a kid into a franchise. It was a chilly December day in 2005 when the opening credits first appeared on our TVs. That opening announced the arrival of a 10-year-old boy named Ben Tennyson. Ben was like any other kid his age until his entire life changed during a summer road trip with his grandfather Max and cousin Gwen. Ben discovered a mysterious alien device inside a crashed pod. No bonus points for guessing that it was, of course, the Omnitrix. This strange prototype attached itself to Ben's wrist and allowed him to transform into 10 alien species, each with unique abilities. The original transformations included Heat Blast, Wild Mutt, Diamond Head, XLR-8, Gray Matter, Forearms, Stinkfly, Ripjaws, Upgrade, and Ghost Freak. Using these forms, Ben faced villains including Vilgax, Dr. Amino, Hex, Zombozo, Kevin Levin, and armies of mechadroids. Cartoon Network first aired And Then There Were 10 as a special sneak preview on December 27, 2005. The series then began its regular broadcast run in January 2006, and over 4 seasons, Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max traveled across the United States in the Rust Bucket and encountered extraterrestrial, supernatural, technological, and mutant threats. Ben began as an impulsive child who treated the Omnitrix like the greatest toy ever created, but over time, he learned that having extraordinary power also meant being responsible for the lives of other people. The cartoon became a major success for Cartoon Network and received several award nominations, including Daytime Emmy recognition. But how was Ben 10 actually created? If you're a comic nerd, I'm sure you've heard of the Man of Action Collective. Man of Action was formed by comic book creators Duncan Rouleau, Joe Casey, Joe Kelly, and Stephen T. Siegel. Together and separately, they worked across comics, films, television, and animation. The group developed Ben 10 years before Cartoon Network finally picked up the series. Stephen T. Siegel later explained that the 4 creators pitched Cartoon Network 20 ideas in approximately 20 minutes. He said, "The best thing about the Ben 10 pitch was that there were 4 of us and none of us could agree on what to pitch. So we pitched 20 ideas in 20 minutes. We literally had a stopwatch and a bell. Every 60 seconds, ding, next idea. Idea number 8 was Ben 10. Cartoon Network stopped us. That's it. We said, no, we worked hard on the other 12. We were actually offended, but that's how it happened." Intriguingly, Ben 10 has frequently been compared to the DC Comics character Dial H for Hero, whose magical dial allows its user to transform into different superheroes. However, Duncan Rouleau said that Dial H wasn't the direct inspiration behind their concept. He explained, "A lot of people make that connection between Ben 10 and Dial H. To be honest, that never entered our thinking. Although I can see why people see it. It only came into our radar after the show was out and others began marking that linkage. Ben 10 came out of a very different notion. The Bjork song, Army of Me. Artist Dave Johnson designed major elements of the original series during a rushed development process. He recalled, "Unfortunately, none of the stuff that got developed was up to the main guy's liking, but at the time I got on board, it changed from human superhero to alien creatures. I came on board and they said, "Look, we have no more development time, you better figure it out. We're gonna put it on air, so you better figure it out." So it was kind of a rush to get it all out. The story was there, but none of the designs. I had to come up with everything. The project went through several changes during pre-production. Early working concepts reportedly included titles such as Force 10 and Ben to the 10th, and one early device concept was known as the Megawatt and had some versions involving Ben transforming into different heroic versions of himself. Eventually, the idea evolved into the Omnitrix, a device storing extraterrestrial DNA and transforming Ben into members of different alien species. Honestly, that was the right decision because it gave the cartoon its distinct sci-fi identity. The creators also resisted making Ben an instant master of the device. Stephen T. Siegel explained, "Then Cartoon Network did all this focus testing and kids were like, that's dumb. I'd be able to pick my hero, so the die didn't work anymore because Ben would be able to control it. Then, after a couple of episodes, the writers realized this kind of worked better if we didn't know what we were getting, so we built in the idea that Ben sometimes changes into something he didn't want. It all happened organically. It comes and goes." Ben transforming into the wrong alien became one of the funniest and most important parts of the series. It stopped the Omnitrix from becoming an instant solution to every problem and forced Ben to improvise. Over time, Ben 10 became so successful that it spawned toys, games, TV movies, sequels, comics, specials, and one of Cartoon Network's biggest multimedia franchises. The original show was largely episodic, but recurring villains and continuing mythology gradually created a larger story. The mythology made fans expect a definitive ending, but Ben 10 gave us more than one.
Oh, Gwen's got some moves.
The original Ben 10 at its peak. Many episodes of the original series were self-contained adventures. In Washington, B.C., Ben battled Dr. Anemo's giant mutated creatures while visiting Washington, D.C. In Camp Fear, he encountered alien fungal organisms and unlocked Wildvine. Ready to Rumble placed Ben inside a wrestling competition, and Monster Weather involved a weather-controlling machine and a performer named SAM. These stories followed a familiar adventure formula. Ben found trouble, transformed into an alien, made some mistakes, but eventually saved the day. But gradually, the series began building longer-running conflicts. For example, Vilgax repeatedly returned for the Omnitrix. Kevin Levin became one of Ben's most dangerous recurring enemies after absorbing energy from the device. Dr. Anemo continued modifying living creatures, Hex and Charmcaster expanded the magical side of the universe, and Grandpa Max's secret history with the plumbers revealed that Ben's summer adventure was connected to a much larger intergalactic world. Xylene's appearance also revealed that the Omnitrix had not reached Ben entirely by accident. The device had originally been intended for Max before circumstances caused it to attach itself to Ben. Episodes like Lucky Girl developed Gwen's confidence and magical potential. Ben 10,000 showed Ben a possible future in which he became a powerful but emotionally distant adult hero, and that episode was important because it showed Ben that becoming stronger didn't automatically make him a better person. The future Ben had mastered thousands of alien transformations, but had forgotten how to enjoy his life and connect with his family. The Omnitrix also gradually became more than a superhero gadget. It had transformation limits, mistransformations, lockouts, emergency systems, and hidden alien samples. Ben couldn't always choose the perfect form, meaning he had to rely on intelligence, courage, and creativity. The episode's secrets brought Ben's original conflict with Vilgax to a major climax and revealed more about Vilgax's pursuit of the device. However, the identity of the Omnitrix's creator wasn't revealed in that episode. That revelation came later in Secret of the Omnitrix, where Ben finally met Azimuth. Over the course of the original series, Ben unlocked additional alien forms including Cannonbolt, Wildvine, Blitzwolfer, Snarrow, Frankenstrike, Upchuck, Ditto, Eye-Guy, and Way Big. Cannonbolt became Ben's 11th transformation, which naturally created jokes about a show called Ben 10, giving its hero more than 10 aliens. Stephen T. Siegel even recalled his father complaining about it. "My dad, who's 83 years old, back when the first series was on, was so mad when Ben turned into the 11th alien. He was like, 'Your character just turned into 11. He's Ben 10.' But as Siegel explained, Ben 10 was the identity of the character and brand, not a permanent restriction on the number of alien forms available inside the Omnitrix. Secret of the Omnitrix, the canonical finale. The television movie Secret of the Omnitrix premiered in August 2007. It aired before several remaining Season 4 episodes, creating confusion about where it belonged in the overall story. Despite that broadcast order, the movie is widely treated as the canonical narrative finale of the original series. Chronologically, it takes place after the -10 storyline and represents the final major adventure of Ben's original summer journey. The movie was directed by Sebastian Montez and Scooter Tidwell. Its story begins when Ben accidentally activates the Omnitrix's self-destruct sequence while battling Dr. Anemo. Tetrax arrives and explains that the countdown will eventually produce an explosion capable of causing catastrophic destruction. Ben, Gwen, Tetrax, and Myax travel through space in search of the Omnitrix's creator, and that search leads them to Azimuth. Azimuth is initially bitter and uninterested in helping. He believes that the universe has repeatedly misused technology and conflict, and he's reluctant to save it. The movie also reveals that he created the Omnitrix as a tool for understanding. By allowing one species to experience life through the biology of another, Azimuth hoped the device could promote empathy and peace. Later sequels expand this purpose by explaining that the Omnitrix also preserves the DNA of intelligent species, allowing it to function like an intergalactic genetic archive. Those purposes don't cancel each other out. The Omnitrix can preserve life while also helping different species understand one another. Vilgax naturally follows Ben because he still wants the device. The final battle forces Ben to prove that he understands what being a hero actually means. He's willing to protect other people even when he believes he may not survive. Azimuth eventually recognizes Ben's potential and allows him to retain the Omnitrix. Emotionally and narratively, Secret of the Omnitrix works as the conclusion of Ben's original summer arc. He begins the series as a reckless child excited by power, but he ends the movie as someone Azimuth considers worthy of carrying one of the most important devices in the universe. Azimuth tells him, "I created the Omnitrix to help all the beings of the universe grow closer together. If an Earthling can make that happen, then I see no reason why you shouldn't have it." That moment feels like Ben's graduation. His adventures aren't over, but his first major transformation as a person is complete.
If I can't shut it down, I'll just have to turn it up.
The different versions of Secret of the Omnitrix. Secret of the Omnitrix released with several alternate versions. The central story remained the same, but the opening battle with Dr. Anemo used different alien transformations. The red version featured Heat Blast, the blue version featured XLR8, the gold version featured iGuy, and there was also a pop-up trivia version featuring on-screen facts and info about the film and series. These editions didn't create separate continuities, they were alternate presentations of the same basic story. The Heat Blast version became the most commonly recognized cut, but the alternate openings turned the movie into an event and encouraged viewers to watch more than once. Some fans consider those variations unnecessary, but personally, I had a lot of fun with them. Goodbye and Good Riddance. The alternate farewell. The final original series episode broadcast on television was Goodbye and Good Riddance, which aired on April 15, 2008. The episode begins with Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max stopping a group of criminals. After the fight, Max tells them it's time to return home because summer is over. That one line gives the story the feeling of a finale. The Rust Bucket returns to Bellwood, and Ben is forced to confront normal life again. He reunites with his parents, Carl and Sandra, returns to school, and struggles with the fact that nobody knows he spent the summer saving the world. Of course, mecha droids eventually attack the school while searching for the Omnitrix, but Ben transforms in secret and protects his classmates, but he's still told to conceal his identity. Vilgax later attacks Ben's family and destroys their home. During the conflict, Ben's secret becomes public, and Carl learns about Max's connection to the plumbers and the danger surrounding the Omnitrix. The family eventually works together against Vilgax, and by the end, Ben returns to school as a recognized local hero. Dr. Anemo then attacks, showing that even though summer has ended, Ben's life as a hero will continue. As an emotional farewell, the episode works very well. The road trip ends, Ben goes home, his parents learn the truth, his secret identity is exposed, He accepts that being a hero is no longer a temporary summer game, but Goodbye and Good Riddance is framed like a comic book what-if story. Its opening and closing resemble Gwen 10, another episode involving an alternate version of events. More importantly, Alien Force contradicts its ending because Ben's identity isn't publicly known at the beginning of that sequel. For those reasons, Goodbye and Good Riddance is generally treated as an alternate scenario rather than the canonical conclusion of the main timeline, so the distinction is important. It was the final episode broadcast from the original production, but Secret of the Omnitrix remains the more consistent, canonical ending. Alien Force, the time skip that continued the main story. Only 3 days after Goodbye and Good Riddance aired, Ben 10 Alien Force premiered on April 18, 2008. The sequel was set approximately 5 years after the original summer. Ben was now 15. Gwen and Kevin became his regular teammates, while Grandpa Max disappeared during the investigation into an alien conspiracy. Alien Force was based on characters created by Man of Action and was developed by a new production team including Glenn Murakami and head writer Dwayne McDuffie. As a result, the tone changed significantly. The characters were older, the colors were darker, the stories became more serialized. The first 2 seasons formed one extended conflict involving the Hybrid, DN aliens, the plumbers, and the planned destruction of species that the Hybrid considered impure. Dwayne McDuffie explained, "It's a huge story arc. The first 26 episodes are one giant story. Episodes that look like they're one-offs aren't. Either thematically or as far as works in progress, every single episode builds towards the 2-parter ending." Ben also received a recalibrated Omnitrix. The device became sleeker and unlocked a new group of aliens, including Swampfire, Echo, Humongosaur, Jetray, Big Chill, Chromastone, Brainstorm, Spider Monkey, Goop, and Alien X. It also worked as a communicator, translator, plumber badge detector, and access device. Alien Force expanded the Omnitrix's purpose. Azimuth explained that the device contained genetic information from intelligent species and could help restore them if they became extinct. That didn't erase the original peace-building explanation. Instead, it made the Omnitrix both a symbol of empathy and a genetic backup system for the galaxy. How Alien Force ended. Alien Force concluded with the 2-part episode, The Final Battle. The conflict involved Vilgax, Albedo, Azimuth, the Ultimatrix, and an army of bioids. Albedo had constructed the Ultimatrix using Azimuth's technology, hoping it could restore his original Galvan form. However, because Albedo's altered body remained synchronized with Ben's DNA, the device didn't solve his problem. Vilgax used Albedo and the Ultimatrix as part of another plan to defeat Ben and seize the Omnitrix. And Ben eventually allowed Vilgax to take the Omnitrix, but that surrender was part of a larger plan. Ben activated the Omnitrix's self-destruct function, destroying the device rather than allowing Vilgax to keep it. That moment ended Ben's relationship with the recalibrated Omnitrix. Ben then took the Ultimatrix from Albedo and used it to defeat Vilgax. The finale closed one era and immediately opened another. Ben had lost the Omnitrix, but he now possessed a device capable of evolving alien transformations into combat-oriented ultimate forms. Dwayne McDuffie described the Alien Force run as a complete story, but the ending deliberately established the premise for the next series. Ultimate Alien, the Ultimatrix Era. Ben 10 Ultimate Alien premiered on April 23, 2010. Ben was now 16, and his secret identity was public after a young online researcher named Jimmy Jones exposed him. That changed Ben's life considerably. Some people treated him like a celebrity, others distrusted him. He had to deal with interviews, fans, public criticism, and pressure while continuing to protect Earth. The Ultimatrix allowed Ben to evolve some alien forms into specialized ultimate versions created through simulated survival scenarios. The early series focused heavily on Egregor, who attempted to absorb the abilities of 5 aliens and gain control of a reality-altering device. That storyline eventually transformed Kevin into Ultimate Kevin after he absorbed energy to stop Egregor. Later episodes explored the Forever Knights, Sir George, Dagon, Vilgax, and the history behind the legendary story of St. George and the Dragon. The series also revealed that several ultimate forms had developed consciousness inside the Ultimatrix. Omnitrix. In The Ultimate Sacrifice, Ben discovered that these beings wanted freedom. Instead of treating them as disposable weapons, he risked himself to release them. That decision once again showed that Ben had grown beyond the selfish child who originally found the Omnitrix. How Ultimate Alien ended. Ultimate Alien concluded with the two-part story, The Ultimate Enemy. The ancient extra-dimensional entity Dagon attempted to enter Earth's reality. Vilgax absorbed Dagon's power and transformed himself into an enormously powerful enemy. Ben was offered the opportunity to use that power to reshape reality according to his own wishes. For a moment, he considered using it to eliminate evil and force the universe into peace. But Gwen and Kevin reminded him that imposing his will on everyone would make him no better than the enemies he fought. Ben rejected the temptation and defeated Vilgax. Afterwards, Azimuth demanded the Ultimatrix back. The device was an unstable and incomplete copy of his work, and Azimuth had never considered it worthy of replacing the real Omnitrix. Ben surrendered it, but Azimuth then gave him the completed Omnitrix, beginning the next phase of Ben's life. Omniverse, the ending of the classic continuity. Ben 10 Omniverse premiered in 2012. The series changed the art style and alternated between stories featuring 11-year-old Ben and the present-day 16-year-old Ben. Gwen and Kevin left Bellwood for college, while Ben received a new partner named Rook Blanco. Rook was disciplined, formal, and extremely respectful of rules, making him the perfect contrast to Ben's impulsive personality. Yuri Lowenthal, who voiced teenage Ben, explained, "We're changing up the dynamics a little bit. It's a lot of fun. New villains, new monsters. Rook is the new partner, and he's a by-the-book kind of guy." Omniverse expanded the universe enormously. It introduced Undertown, Malware, Kyber, the Nematrix, Feedback's tragic history, the Time War, alternate Bens, and more details about the creation of the universe. The show also corrected and expanded parts of the earlier timeline by revisiting younger Ben. Unlike Goodbye and Good Riddance, Omniverse belongs to the same primary continuity as the original show, Alien Force, and Ultimate Alien. How Omniverse actually ended. Omniverse ended in 2014 with the episode A New Dawn. The finale involved Maltruant, the Time War, Professor Paradox, and the creation of the universe. Maltruant attempted to alter the beginning of existence and create a universe according to his own design. Ben and Rook traveled back to the moment before the universe began. Ben used feedback to contain and redirect the energy of the Annihilarg, preventing Maltruant from rewriting creation. Maltruant was destroyed and trapped inside a repeating time loop. After saving reality, Ben returned home. The series ended with Ben proposing a new road trip across the universe. Rook, Gwen, Kevin, and several friends could join them as they explored alien worlds beyond Earth. That conclusion deliberately mirrored the original show. Ben's story began with a summer road trip across America, and the classic continuity ended with him preparing for a road trip across the galaxy. It wasn't an ending in which Ben retired or gave up the Omnitrix. It was an ending that showed he had grown from a child stumbling into adventure into a hero actively choosing the next one.
Talking, yes!
The Reboot. A new Ben and a separate continuity. 2 years after Omniverse ended, Cartoon Network launched a new Ben 10 series. The 2016 reboot returned to 10-year-old Ben traveling during the summer with Gwen and Grandpa Max. It used that familiar starting point but created an entirely separate continuity. This wasn't the next chapter of the Omniverse timeline. It was a new interpretation built for a younger generation. Stephen T. Siegel explained that many children who watched the original show had become adults. The creators wanted a new group of 7, 8, and 9-year-olds to discover Ben as their hero. Duncan Rouleau also said that the creators felt they had moved away from 10-year-old Ben too quickly and that there were more stories to tell about his relationship with Gwen and Max. The reboot also changed the storytelling format. Most episodes were reduced from approximately 22 minutes to 11 minutes, allowing the creators to tell faster stories across television and digital platforms. The reboot ran until 2021 and eventually developed its own mythology, transformations, Vilgax storyline, movies, specials, and alternate versions of Ben. Some original fans disliked the lighter comedy and redesigned characters, but the show successfully introduced Ben to children who hadn't been alive when the original cartoon premiered. So, how did the original Ben 10 really end? Well, the answer to that question depends on what kind of ending you mean. The final episode broadcast under the original Ben 10 title was Goodbye and Good Riddance. However, that story is generally treated as an alternate what-if scenario because Ben's public identity and family situation contradict the continuity established in Alien Force. The canonical narrative finale of the original 2005 summer story is Secret of the Omnitrix. That movie introduces Azimuth, explains the purpose of the Omnitrix, gives Ben one of his greatest tests, and ends with the device's creator deciding that Ben is worthy of carrying it. Ben's life then continues 5 years later in Alien Force. Alien Force ends with the destruction of the original Omnitrix and Ben claiming the Ultimatrix. Ultimate Alien ends with Ben surrendering the Ultimatrix and receiving Azimuth's completed Omnitrix. Omniverse then ends the classic continuity's television run with Ben and Rook preparing to explore the universe. So, the original Ben's journey does have an ending. It simply doesn't end with retirement, death, or a final goodbye. It ends with Ben choosing another road trip. And maybe that's the perfect conclusion for a character whose entire life was changed because he went traveling with his family one summer. Ben 10 has existed so long that several generations of fans now support different versions of the franchise, but as far as the original 2005 cartoon is concerned, Secret of the Omnitrix remains the strongest and most consistent answer to how Ben's first adventure ended. The summer may have finished, but hero time was only just beginning.